Hello and welcome back to Supercoach Challenges. We're here with the round 6 review, and this week I'm pretty excited to bring the review because we actually scored compared to the rest of the competition very well. We missed a lot of the carnage that occurred this week, and it was great. And we also absolutely smacked in the VC choice and trading for the premium. I just can't believe how well these have been chosen so far, because it's just been absolutely unreal. The person we brought in, we VC'd, and they've had the best score each week. We brought them in as the premium for that week, which has just been really handy with kind of keeping us in touch, because as you can see, even with that really nice score, like this was a top 18% score this week, which, considering the team and the clickbait you've probably gotten, that's brought you here, is really good. I'm really happy with the score. Actually outscored my normal team, but that was because of Captain Took, which was just really unlucky for those holders. A lot of people got stuck with that this week, but we did not in this team. So we're inside the top 120k. So we're coming really quick at that 100,000 with another 6,700 rise. As you can see, the round rank change is 80,000 spots. So last round we were, based on score, ranked round about where we scored, but we have gone up, and you know what? It's going to be very interesting to see how teams start to change from here. But at the moment, we're just very happy with this movement, and we want to keep the momentum going with this week's trade in. But without further ado, let's get to the team. So, looking at the team, this is what we went with, and it went marvelously for us. So, don't look at the captain on Nick Dacos. I must have moved that when I was checking it on my phone. But we went with Marcus Bontempelli as the brought-in premium this week, and that was an amazing play to bring in, and we chucked the VC on him with him having the Friday night game. And I wish I just followed the VCs and Cs I've been doing in this team on my actual team, because they've actually been pretty good. I think there was one week where I probably scored better on the my other team when I got, because I had Dawson, but otherwise it's just been really good. What are we averaging like off the VCs since we bought the premiums in? About probably over 150. Because Dacos went 150, I think Darcy went 136, and our Bont's gone 180. So those are the three we've done and the three premiums. Now, we don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but it's really good, because we loopholed with Day and played through McKenna, and got that big VC score, and it really pushed us up, because even with these guys kind of, players kind of varying with their scores, the whole competition with a bit of the carnage over the weekend, at 2,100 was a very nice score. You'd be happy with that. I think a lot of people who were in around that 20,000 mark, if they were getting over 2,100, 2,200, are really happy with that. And I think even the team I had went up spots with only like a 2,070 score. But anyway, really good score this week, and we want to keep the momentum going. So Dacos had a really good game. We'll look at the defenders. He was just unreal, especially that last quarter. He kicked 2 goals. I reckon he was probably not scaled as much as he should have been, because they were real key moments in the comeback. But you can't argue with the 145 from the big man, and he looks to get to 700k. And he doesn't look like stopping, because this is happening on a weekly occurrence now. Next is Day, who's out, so it's going to be good to have him back. He's going to make some big money as well. It looks like about 40k's projected to get, so that's good. Wiedering had a really nice game. Who did they play? Let's get the round 6 up here. So they played against St Kilda. It looks like he kind of cleaned up back there. I thought that might happen, which was one of the reasons we kind of kept Wiedering. I think I did discuss that last week when we were looking at who we were training, because St Kilda don't have much of a forward line, and I thought Wiedering might be able to take advantage of that, and it looks like by the score he did. And he might have even taken some kickouts, and we might look at that a little bit later. Both Doc and Sard were out, but Sard looks like being back this week. So if you did keep him, good choice, because it looks like only a 1-round injury. And if you didn't, well, hopefully you didn't trade to 2, because I know a lot of people did. Hinge just had an all right game. Hawthorn actually probably should have won that game. They looked really, really nice. And I think watching Adelaide Supporter, the Crows looked just not slow, but looked like we were trying to kind of go back into ourselves as if we should win. We probably got a bit lucky to win that game with Fogarty kicking a nice goal on the boundary. But you can't argue with the result. But I think that Hawthorn were really hard done by to lose. And I think this week, who do they play? The Bulldogs. That could be a game they come in and just absolutely pressure and win. But Bont is going to be hard one to hold on to, and their midfield is so good at the Doggies. So anyway, that was Hinge. Ash, average game. Might be on the chopping block here. His break-even's pretty high. From what I watched of that game, they played Brisbane. It was a bit of a weird game for defenders, I think. They also had Sam Taylor go down, which I think saw maybe Ash lose a bit of midfield time, maybe having to go back a bit more. I'm not sure. Didn't really focus on Ash that much, but just a bit of an average game from him. Hunter Clark just played like Hunter Clark. To be honest, I have not watched much St Kilda this year, and they've been a really, really good side. So maybe I should catch up on some of that. But from what I recall, Steele played really, really bad and looks really underdone. But Sinclair looks good going back, and he did score decent. He scored 100 and something, which you're happy with, especially at his price now. So I reckon that Clark will stay in the team for a little bit longer. I reckon his break is not too bad as well. So McKenna could be one that we look at getting rid of. Just an average. It was an all right game, but his break even is a long way up above his 3-round average probably is, and I think Rich has really affected him. Constable didn't play, but probably tore up VFL again. And with Gold Coast losing Took, it does open up a spot, but maybe not really a Constable spot. But he has been tearing it up. And imagine a midfield role for Constable. He could get a lot of the ball, but I don't know if they want a guy who uses the ball like him. But glad to have kept him. So Bont, what can you say? What more can you say about Bont? He was just everywhere in that game against Fremantle, and he loves the open spaces where it's kind of a bit harder to tag him, I think. And he just really, really absolutely put Fremantle to the sword. Setterfield, I thought he was going to actually score really well against Collingwood, especially with no merit. I thought it would just mean that he would get a lot more of the ball, but I think he had a lot more handballs. All Essendon didn't really score well. I think Parrish was the only one who got over 100. And even that, he had 24 disposals. I'm not really sure if it was worth 100 or not 24, maybe it was 26, but it wasn't his 30s. His streak was broken, I think, or was that 25 disposal games? Maybe it was 25 disposal games. So that probably wasn't broken. But yeah, he just had a bit of an average game, and most of Essendon did, to be honest, especially with the comeback in the last quarter. I think that hurt a lot of their scoring. Hopper just hit bang on average, which is 94, which is good, but he hit bang on his average, and he's got a really low break even next week, and he's going to make money, so nothing's changing there. Hunter, now we knew this was he was probably going to go down money in the short term, but long term he's got pretty good matchups, especially with North coming up, I'm pretty sure. We can go back to round 7 now. He's got North next, so that looks like a juicy matchup. His break even's still 95, so not that great, but we'll keep him because I think he's probably one of those ones, unlike the next person we're going to talk about in Horn Francis, who's probably going to have a bad game of a 60 to an 80 rather than a 45, which is what Horn Francis had. And weirdly, it was against West Coast, who don't have a midfield. So kind of riddle me that as to why he played so bad. Maybe just disinterest. He does seem to actually step up in the games where they need him, which is, better than a guy who just steps up in the big wins. Like the games he scored big, Brisbane, where they had the huge comeback. Let's have a look at what he did. So Brisbane, big comeback. Collingwood, they got belted, so yeah, maybe not. But Crows, that was a really close game. Sydney, he had a huge he had a really good game there, which was a close win as well. Bulldogs at last quarter, also one of those ones where he had a big comeback. So I mean, like, he was probably due for a bad score, but it just hurts because the break even at 90 kind of makes it hard to keep him. That 45 sticking in 2 rounds, so but we'll see what happens. I know Port have a pretty good run. St Kilda and who is it? Essendon. Oh, that's really good. I mean, St Kilda are winning, but I feel like that's a game he can score well. And then North, so you probably want to keep him. I think Ash would be the one that goes. I don't like GWS's run, and unless Lockie Whitfield gets dropped, which could be a possibility. Oh, they won't ever drop him. They don't have anyone better, but he did play pretty bad. So anyway, that's a bit of ramble. Moving on, Warple, he played another great game. Break even's really low, so we'll keep him next week, even with Day coming back. But hopefully, like, they can learn to kind of coexist and score well with each other. But Newcomb did also have a really good game last week, so maybe that means that Wolf kind of loses a bit of time to him, and then they've got that Ned Long as well. So is he going to keep getting game time in the midfield? And I think Connor Nash also moved to the midfield. So yeah, kind of a hard one to see who loses minutes there. I guess it'd probably be Connor Nash, but he did look good in there. So, but obviously Warple's also playing well there. So, yeah. Ashcroft, 76, keep making the money. We just, good scoring rookie. He's always going to put up, well, he has been putting up those, 60s, 70s, which a lot of the rookies haven't been able to do, which is probably why this team works, because we didn't have the bad rookies, realistically. I mean, like, we had Roberts, who was the trade-in, but that was just unlucky. You can't plan for injuries, but there was like guys like Wilmot and Cowan. Cowan, man, just disappointing. He had, so put this in perspective, I was mucking around with my team, and I was thinking about bringing in Chase Jones for Tom Green, decided against it, but the game closed and Wilmot was on my field now instead of being my emergency loophole, which meant that I had to field him, and I took a 37. I was like, oh, I can't wait for Cowan to outscore this. I looked at the score in the second quarter against St Kilda, and he was on 36 already. So 37 was what he had to beat, and he was on 36 in the second quarter. And he ended up on 36 for the rest, and he wasn't injured. So, yeah, Cowan just kind of loses himself in the game a little bit. Like, Wilmot just had a really, like, it was like 11, 22. Like, he just built into a bad score of 37, whereas Cowan got there and then just went nowhere. So it's, yeah, a bit interesting. Wanganeen-Malira, so with Sinclair going back, that I think has affected Wanganeen-Malira's rebounding a little bit. We're still coming back in the team, but we'll just keep him. He's scoring. 60s aren't great, but they, as I said, better than the rookies that are on field, and he could go for a big game at any point, so we'll keep him. Baker, 59. Great score for him as a rookie. They've got a good run coming forward with Hawthorn, and that could be a game where he scores big with them going on other midfielders. Roberts, so he's now another injury which we have to deal with, which we could actually just switch into here and maybe loot with, so not the worst. We've now got an injury in each line, which is probably where we want to keep it. The question this week's going to be whether we do downgrade to another rookie, which I'm kind of thinking we do. The reason being is that who is it? Mitchell. He's defender forward, which makes it really easy to switch Sheasel and Zeeble if we require. I mean, like, Sheasel could be one that people are actually looking to trade out this week, and people traded Ashcroft out last week, so that's also very interesting. Yeah, I think he looked really good, that Mitchell, and his game on the weekend I think is going to keep him in the team. And he has a nice role with a kind of like rebound defender. So, yeah, I think we'll look to bring that one in because I think he's going to make money. And maybe it would be, I don't really want to trade a Chesser, but then we had to field him. So it's like, I don't know if I can trust any of these other players to be fielded. Like Chandler, actually, these guys were good. But like, this is like so makeshift. This could go bad any week now. So we kind of do have to get it forward. And I think I know who we're going to go for this week. But we'll get to that soon. Darcy, another incredible game. He really, like, this was against a good ruckman, and that's great to see that he's getting a big score against a good ruckman. And I think it opened up from here. Like, I think he's got quite a good, he's got OMAC, but then I think after that, he's got quite a good matchup from there. It's, Hawthorn, that's going to be, he should score big there. And then he's got Sydney, who might not have a ruck at all. So he could have a really good 2 weeks after this one. And his break-even's low, so, he's going to make money, hopefully. He's already at 600K, so you might, people are probably going to go, like, why would you go Darcy when you can go English, I guess, which I like. It's keeping him as a pod. Draper, another great game. And another reason we're not really having to change our rucks up a bit, because Draper's actually scoring 90s, which is all we need him to do. Obviously, that break-even is going to come up soon, but if he keeps putting on 90s, we can probably hold him for a little while longer. Next week, they play Cats, who don't really have a ruck. It's going to be a hard game, though. In round 8, they play Port. Also probably a hard game, but then again, they might be playing Teakles. So Draper's, at the moment, in the calculations of being held. Moving on to the forward line. So this was probably, I was going to say the underperformer, but it actually just looks bang on average. So Siebel, great score. The thing that we love about this score is that Aaron Hall was in the team and he still scored. He scored very well. Cheezel got tagged. So, right. This is what I don't understand, right? Teams have gone in against a team like North Melbourne who aren't very good, and they're tagging the first-year player in Sheasel, but no one's touching Dacos in a Collingwood team that is winning a lot. So you tell me, I'm not sure. But anyway, just a down game from Sheasel. Tom Power, we can actually hold a little bit longer. His break-even is down to 46, which we love. He'll start going back up money again, and it's looking like a decent hold now. Rat still got money to make, and that's another great score. And with their matchup this week, which is Essendon, he could get some further money because they like to bomb it into their forwards. Chandler, he was scoring really poorly after the first quarter, but then he popped up for 3 goals. And you know what, for Chandler, 3 goals not being a higher score than this, interesting. Well, not interesting, because you just expected probably more. You probably expect this is the score where he gets 3 goals and a couple of disposals. But he's done, 8 disposals, 1 goal on this. So good for Chandler though, and good for his money making because he was slowing down, and now it's break even's right back down again. So just keep holding on to him as well. And Fergus Green has really come into form, and we love another 70 from him. And he's got the Dogs this week, which isn't going to be the easiest matchup. But hopefully he can just keep scoring and we can keep him on field. And we love this from Samson Ryan. We love an 82. And he actually is kind of building into this role where he just looks very nice. And I think his job security is one of the best as well, until Nankers maybe back because they want to play him. They're starting to realise, Rewalt's probably not got a huge amount of time left in him. And no better time than now to build this man up. Now, other notable misses in rookies. So the only guy we're probably missing is JVR. But the thing with JVR is he was, and this was the issue we all had with him, was that if he was one bad game away, and he was literally 5 minutes away from being out of that Melbourne side, and then he took a big mark and kicked 3 goals in the last and pretty much won it for him. Because Goody came out and said with JVR that he was going to probably sub him in the next rotation, but he took that big mark and they just kept him on. And he went up. He had a 60-point last quarter. He was on 18 or something, or 20 or something like that. He had 2 or 3 disposals in the whole game until that last quarter. And he's really, really dug his owners out of a hole. But it does show you that he's probably only 1 game away from maybe being dropped. So with that, we'll do a little bit of trade discussion. And as we know, this never really sticks because we kind of change it a little bit. And it has worked, so I'm probably not going to stop doing that. But saying that, we've got a bit of a decision to make. So I want to bring in a forward because we got to start figuring out what we're doing a little bit. So the structure's a bit here, there, and everywhere. And there is one forward who is right for the picking, but there's another forward that has a really good run coming up. So the forward right for the picking is Stephen Coniglio, but he does have a bit of an average run, I think. Yeah, so these are hard matchups, but he does seem to be getting a lot of the ball. So I do like Coniglio. He's under 500, which means it's not going to be much to go up to him. Like it's 190k. But then there is also Dunkley, who's got an extremely good run, like Brisbane v Fremantle next, and then they have Hawthorn, and then they have Brisbane, Essendon, which should all be good scoring matches for mids. So that's the decision we have. Now the decision we have to make is how we're going to get him in the team. So what I'm thinking is that we go to list and we look at what we're looking at break-evens. So break-evens are looking like who's got the highest? So Sheasel. So Sheasel we still think can be a keeper. And to be fair, I'm probably just going to keep him unless Clarko starts saying they're going to play him forward. Which God knows why you do that. Just honestly, why is Hall playing? I know he's probably the best you got, best of a worst situation. But why change the defense that was not working? It's like North are losing, but why change a first year player who's playing really well out of defense to then forward to fit in a guy who in a couple, he's 1 injury away from probably retiring? Yeah. So at this point, we've got high break even. So Paul, as we said, have a nice run. So I kind of want to keep Paul Francis. GWS for a guy like Lockie Ash, probably not so much, which is why I think he is good to go. We've made money on him. That's the good thing. Like all these players, I don't think we lost any money on players, which is great. Except Power, but he's going to go up money this week. So I'm thinking we get rid of him. Now, the next question is how do we get, what's his name? The forward from Hawthorn in. Mitchell. Because the way the team's built doesn't really work. Now, actually, I do know one way we might be able to do it. So, first, we'll do this. Oh, this is actually perfect. And then we'll go Coniglio. So that is very helpful for this team. So Coniglio does have a little bit of an interesting run, but his disposals have actually been really high. Even that 58, I think he had like 25. So I'm not really worried about the scoring. I'm worried about the fact that he's going up money now. His break even's what? 49. He'll get a 49. I think we can all say he's going to get a 49. And it's in a grudge match. It is in a close, a small ground, so not really be good for spread. But I think Coniglio is going to be there and he's going to score well. Now, so that's kind of how we're setting up. Now, how do we fit in this young player? The hard part is how do we fit him in? So we do have injuries, right? We have injuries. And we could just use those injuries, you know what I mean? We could get rid of a guy who's injured and bring him in. Now, the other thing I dislike, So I did think about maybe doing it through Madden, because Madden's not going to get a game. I don't think he's going to get a game, even if he's uninjured. But that's such a net loss of money. Like, the whole thing I said at the start was we're not losing. Actually, Connor McKenna could go, because Connor McKenna has quite a large break even. 62. I think a lot of teams are going to start getting off him. Let's have a look at the live moves right now. Yeah, Connor McKenna, 10% have traded out. 10%. So, I mean, he's probably got like a 60% ownership. Yes. So, I believe that means he's 45% owned. So, the reasoning for holding him is lower now. And if we look at who else is being traded out, Horn Francis makes sense. But the big mover is Connor McKenna. And the big person in is Seamus Mitchell. So, Sincotta can wait, and Laird can also wait. I think his break-even's low now, but he also had... I think a lot of people are overlooking the fact that he had a knee complaint in the last quarter. He scored well, but he had a left knee complaint. So, if you missed that, just maybe wait until we see some reports on Laird, because I don't think it was very widely publicized by the Crows at the time, or like brought up that much, but he did come off to have his knee looked at. And do you really want to go for a guy, like with all the injuries that have been happening, do you really want to go on a guy who could have a bad knee? Like, I know it might not happen, but there's cheaper players you can go on that have not got injury concerns, and trades are becoming an issue for a lot of players. A lot of players would be close to 20 now, and what we've got 17 rounds left, including buys. And we've got 4 buys. We can use 3. Probably most people aren't going to use 3 in that Geelong round unless they really need a Geelong Gold Coast round, unless they need to fix their team. But yeah, so I think at this point we're going to go McKenna out, and we're going to bring in Mitchell. Where is he? And that actually gives us a net gain on money this week, and you love to see it. So that means we actually have bought in a premium, and we have not lost money. And the buy round start in round 12. Round 12 or round 11? Hopefully round 11. No, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So round 12. So we have 5 more rounds where we could lose points, and we probably gain points in a lot. I think I looked, and I might be like 1,200 points behind top 30k. So could we make that up in the last 12 rounds? No, maybe 8 rounds. We could, because, you know, I think there's going to be an issue that a lot of teams are having with injuries. I think that this year has, and I did tweet this out, that I think Supercoach has come back, the gods have come back with a vengeance this year, and they've said, we gave you all the money last year and we're going to take it all away this year. And that might be something that a lot of teams are overlooking, is money, cash generation. This team is not having that issue. We have not got cash generation issues at this point in time. You know, if we look at what our money's worth now, we've upgraded. Well, if we look at what our money's worth and we look at this, so 10.7 and it was 1.7 before. So we're worth what? 12.4 mil. That's a good team value. The only problem is we're a heap of points behind, but we're going for top 50k, hopefully. And hopefully we can really, really come forward with a big charge. Like if we're carrying 100, 200 points at the end of the year, it might even be more if there's a lot of injuries, or if the issue with that we are thinking that might be had is that you can't have every primo, and maybe we can try and get every primo on this team. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see though. And so I guess with that, we'll talk about the 3-2-1. So after all my rambling regarding money, so the 3-2-1 this week, I think we all know where the 3's going. That is to Mr. Marcus Bontempelli with 182. I don't think we need to explain that. You Beauty, welcome back. Welcome in. Number 2 is going to Mr. Jack Zeeble, 111. You'll love to see that with Aaron Hall back. We were worried that maybe Aaron Hall was going to stop his scoring, but I think he put on his second best score for the year, 111. Yes, sir, second best score, and he has Melbourne next week, who you think are going to come out and pepper their goals. So could be great for Zeebel's scoring. And then going on to the number 1 vote is Mr. Nick Dacos we decided to go with. So there wasn't really anyone else standing out. I kind of thought about giving it to, well, out of Darcy and Dacos, I'm going to go Dacos because he scored more. And then I was kind of thinking about maybe going to Wienering for getting that score when we needed it. But then I was like, Dacos should have had higher than 145. He kicked 2 goals in that comeback in a row in the last quarter. And they were big goals. So I think that, like, I guess Sidebottom did kick a goal as well, but he had 39 disposals. I'd like to know, did still have that many? I'm not sure. I mean, still Sidebottom. But anyway, that's what we're going with the 3-2-1. That's onto the leaderboard. We got another round in the books. We talked a bit about the trades. If you had to, that's a bit of bad luck. But that can be moved around. Like, I feel like a lot of these injuries are opening up Supercoach this year, because I think we kept going from, I was getting frustrated. Round 3, round 4, it was like everyone was just bringing in who everyone else had. But these injuries are making us change up teams, making us go different ways. I think now that, I think the rucks, it's clear that you've either probably gone Darcy, Grundy, or English, and it's going to be a real English first Darcy from now there, because a lot of people would have Ron Marshall, but maybe they'll start to look to move him on as well. And maybe that's someone we could, I mean, we did outscore there with Draper and Darcy this week. So, and I guess right now we're just going to be trying to keep on getting those good forward, good plays in that are at their lows for their break even or at low cash, and going to start making more, and we can kind of move forward that. We're just going to get to round 12. So with that, looking at this round, what are we going to go with VC captain options? So I'm going to go probably Bont again and into Dacos, because Dacos is actually, have a look at Dacos' projection. Dacos' projection is 166. Now, that's because last year when he played the Crows at Adelaide Oval, he had a 163. And they're probably putting a little bit on just because of how well he's been scoring. So, yeah, he could go huge against the Crows. But I suspect they're going to put some time into him. And I suspect it's going to come from Ben Keys. But we'll see what happens there. Otherwise, we'll try and do a video regarding maybe some stuff with who you can kind of move to, who's looking good with projections and stuff this week. Maybe I'll go by position. I'm not sure. I'll have a look around. I'm not sure how in depth you guys like it. Maybe let me know in the comments. I try to go into a lot of detail, which can make these videos long, and not everyone gets through to the end. So if you did get through the end, just leave us a comment just to let us know you were here. Otherwise, thanks for watching. Give us a follow. Get on board. This has been, pretty fun, because it actually has been going a little bit better than it was. And it's just less pressure. I'm not pressured to try and get the top 10K again, or whatever, top 1K rank. It's just, you know what? This is an interesting team. It's interesting to see how we can build this team into something. Maybe next year I'll get rid of the rule of the buys, and we can just go from round 3 when cash gen starts, and we can actually try and make maybe a team that does become a little bit competitive. But I don't know. I kind of like this setup either way. I mean, it showed this week why this setup isn't necessarily a bad thing to have. And so with that, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.